Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and Hormagorns to that 6+++ show. I am your host, Tom. I'm back once again with the lovely 6++ 40k team to talk all things Warhammer 40k with you tonight. And it's almost WTC time, World Team Championships. You're all very excited, I'm sure. We got the lists this week. We're going to be talking about the lists that have come out, pick out a few of our favourites, make a few very poor speculative guesses about what lists are for and what they're going to do and where they sit in the game. And of course, generally just get really excited for, I guess, the sort of the big event of the year for competitive 40k, especially on the the international scene. It's going to be really, really fun. We've got some news beats for you and some promotion as well, because it wouldn't be us if we weren't self-promoting. We are very good at self-promotion, possibly the best. Before we dive into any of that, I'm going to introduce my cast of players. Chris is not here, which means I get to start with my legit original sensei, John Scrivens. John, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good.
Excellent.
I have probably looked at far too many 40k lists.
Yeah.
And if they don't have the line in them, I'm not paying attention to them, so I'm not going to be very useful.
Yes. Excellent. Yeah, it's a busy time, isn't it, right now? There's a lot of data to digest and process and make sense of.
Yeah, there's a lot of lists, and unlike last year where there was very much stuff looked very much established, it's quite a shake-up this year. I don't want to go into any spoilers on that, but there's genuinely some innovation across the board. It's quite... scary almost.
What happens
what does that do?
when you cross a bunch of very creative competitive players with the healthiest the game's ever been in my entire lifetime? You get this meta,
and then shake it up,
which is
before,
bonkers, right? Because there's so much, and it's exciting. Someone's going to be wrong. Who is it? We will find out. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Not me.
Just hope it's not our team.
Not who's going to be right.
That's much less interesting to me than who's wrong. And John, have you found time for any gaming or hobbying or anything else in recent times?
I have played one game of Age of Sigmar in the last week.
Have you now? How'd that go?
Yeah. I did battle tactics.
Okay.
I failed to win the priority roll, and I then lost as a result. And I blame it all on that. It's nothing to do with my inability. I did
Starting
kill Be'lakor.
right back at the start, John. I like that. Right, winding it right the way back.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I
nice.
killed Be'lakor in his turn, because that's how combat works. It was very spicy. Apparently, Be'lakor doesn't like not having a ward save, so let that be a lesson to you, Be'lakor.
Fantastic news. That's horrible. Removing ward saves is really rude. Really, really rude. I am also joined tonight by one of the stalwarts, one of the veterans. It is the lovely Ed Fawcett. Ed, how are you doing?
I am doing well. Like the lion, I have been slumbering. But it turns out there's something cataclysmic coming. No, it's not the 41st millennium. It's not the end of the world. It's the WTC. So they've rolled me out. So wake up, have a shot of caffeine, look at these lists. It's all the important stuff. So I'm here.
I thought it would be a fun one to get you out for, and we did. So you have to go to Ed in his old world cave now and poke him very gently and make some sort of arrangement with him, offer him some magic beans, and he'll be brought out.
Just give me a week's notice, and I'm like, I can move some stuff around.
Yeah, that mentally costs me an awful lot, Ed. I hope you realise that anything as advanced planned as that is very taxing, but you were well worth it. So what have you been doing in your sort of hobbying and gaming life? I believe you were out playing this weekend.
Went to a doubles event at the TSN Arena, square based for those of you at home who don't know all the lingo. And that was good. Not too many spoilers because there's going to be a video on that, but I met my doubles partner at the door at about 9:45.
So
First round started at 10 o'clock and we podiumed. So
that's so good. That's so good.
All you're getting from me, there will be a video coming hopefully Thursday on that one.
Beautiful. Absolutely amazing. And I am also joined by a man I've actually seen very, very recently. It is the lovely king of the Tyranids. It is your boy Swissley. How are you doing, Davey?
Oh, hello, everyone.
I haven't had that in a while.
I missed that. Oh, I got a shudder.
I missed that.
No, it's great to be on. I'm not on as much anymore because of I can only do so much content in a week.
You're a global superstar now. There's no need to worry about it. It's all good.
Of course, yeah. I'm too busy, beating off all. Oh, wrong choice.
Beating off JP, were you going to say?
All the Tyranid players. But no.
I knew it. I knew it. It was just a group circle jerk. We've got the evidence.
Wonderful.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, it's good. And I did see Tom just 2 days ago. I was TOing an event at War Games Workshop, who I help run events and stuff over there. And and Tom actually won that event. So well done to Tom.
It was good times. It was very good. I mean, the Outriders run lots of good events. Really, really fun time.
Yeah.
Obviously,
absolutely.
Davey's taking a sort of senior role in their organisation these days, which I think has been awesome as well. So shout out to them. was
Got a
nice.
next event in Milton Keynes on the 17th of August, in fact.
Get
So
out
if
to
you're
those.
interested, it's 20 quid. It's a full 3 games of RTT. And I won't be TOing that one, but I'll be doing the one in September, maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
UKTC, and it's a really lovely, it's a great atmosphere. It's a good mix of competitive and good fun as well. And it's really, really good.
Yeah. And I even
Enjoyed
got
it
to
a
play
lot.
on Friday as well, which was good. So that was nice.
You did. Yeah, very nice.
Go and watch me and Ed Watts play 40k.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say the Friday night fight, the last one was the Empress Children of Ed Watts taking on the Tyranids of Davy.
Crusher Stampede.
Crusher Stampede, no less. So who won? Some guys with guitars or giant monsters? You can go and watch that and find out. Very, very exciting.
No spoilers.
Indeed. Yeah. And as for myself, as alluded to, yes, I went to the Outriders RTT, which was awesome, and it was very, very enjoyable to play some really good games. I got to play Liam Warswick from Toys of Mass Destruction, and he put me on a -2 Battle Shock army wide, and I don't think I failed any of them.
Oh.
I just rolled about 15 9-ups in a row. Sorry, Liam, wherever you are, that happened, because I played against Nids the other night in our King of the Ping League, where the opposite of that happened, and it's really good when you fail all those battle shocks. I've got to say, they're really, really good. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to shout out some people in the chat, and then we're going to get into the news. So we've got Simon B in. Hello, Simon. Neil Robertson is in. Hi, nice to see you, Neil. It's really lovely to meet you at the weekend, a couple of weekends ago. Pickalax is in. We've got Jay in. Daniel McReese is in. Paul Evans is in. Martin Dorr is in. And James Ellis says, "Good evening, you gods amongst us mere mortals. Finally, someone who sees us the way we see us." That is really nice. I've got a lot of time for that. And that's the right kind of tone for a show that both me and Ed are on at the same time.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the kind of attitude that we bring. Aidan Brocklehurst says, "Hi plus." I love it. Robert Kimpton's in, and Sindri says, "Seeing all the Drakari lists warms my heart." Yes, Sindri, I've not picked out Drakari lists for this one, but Drakari being actually out in force at WTC is awesome. I'm super excited for that. And again, it's a massive statement on how the game has improved over the last few months, that armies like that, which had been sort of written off, are now actually genuine contenders in an 8. I think that's really, really cool. Okay, brilliant. Right, we're going to knock through a couple of...
we get any further.
Oh, sorry, Ed. Yeah.
No, I just want to put this out. So, Davey, you've got an interesting background there. Looks like some sort of, I don't know, like some sort of rundown hangar filled with equipment. You've got lovely curtains there.
Yeah, these are keep my gear curtains, man. Yeah, they keep going through.
They just keep popping up in the corner, and it is.
I mean, they're very white for how dirty my background is.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, whoever's doing the laundry, credit to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, Tom, as well, if you want to do plugs, I've got them up here if you want. For the content we have coming up.
Why not? Let's plug it. Let's do some plugs.
Right.
Let's do the police roundup. We love promoting. We are very good at self-promotion, possibly the best. Let's have it, Davey.
Yeah, so we have, on Monday, we just released a wonderful episode of The Kids Table, where the guys are talking about being a Blood Angels main.
Yes.
So you've got quite a few of the Kids Table on that, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we've got today's show. We've got tomorrow, our chief captain, Chris Tull, will be doing releasing an I Am the Hammer on Grey Knights. Very excited for that. And then we also we're recording another Kids Table. We don't have a title for that one yet, but we will.
Yeah, that's going to be WTC focused, because they'll be taking over WTC content, because for obvious reasons, a few of us are going to be sort of headfirst in that, and so we wanted them at home doing the kind of consistent coverage whilst we're all running around trying to stay calm.
Yeah, all those Adderall teenagers just like hyper-focused.
That's it. Yeah, I was like, can you guys sit at home glued to the WTC? And they were like, we can do that. And I was like, good, thank you, well done.
We also have a crack in the codex. Do you guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we're going to bring something quite interesting. We're going with Bringers of the Flame for Sisters of Battle.
Oh, good choice.
Because that seems to be one that's not quite the flavour of the month, but seems to be quite popular. And
I mean, it's like 99% of all the sisters lists at WTC.
Well,
Bringers
I
of
was going to
Flame.
say, it makes writing the list very, very simple, because they're all the same list.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, the England chat was adorable. They were like, maybe people won't have noticed Bringers of Flame. I was like, I think they will have noticed Bringers of Flame. Unfortunately, I think
obvious.
as much as I'd love them all to be running Penitent Host, I don't think that's the way it's going to go.
And then, Scrivo, you've got an Inner Circle after that?
Yes, so I'm doing a breakdown of 3 Gladius lists, because Gladius Dark Angel seems to be quite a hot thing at the moment. So there was Sheffield, 4th place, Tacoma was a 6th place, and then there was one for another event that's breaking my brain, Peterborough Slam. There was also the podium there. So,
and as we'll get to in a bit, they're international caliber now again as well, aren't they? They're back. They are back.
Are they the new Ultramarine Spearhead, do you think?
Well, funny you should say that. We'll get back to that later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I would say yes. I think
And then Ed,
Marnius Calgar out, Deathwing Boys in.
Yeah.
Asriel, hello.
Yes.
And then on Friday night, we've got Ed Watts again doing another fight night. This time is Eldari versus Drakari. So an elf off.
Kinstrife. It's Rob Kimpton showing down against Ed Watts. Ed has obviously been running all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. So I think the rumours are it's going to be Drazar versus to settle that old dispute once and for all. So we'll see. We'll see if they come through on that or not.
Very cool. And then breaking into next week, we've got a Bug Watch on Monday. So that's it.
Finally, and whilst we are on the promotional train, because we might as well get our self-promotion all together, Ed, there's some very exciting things happening in the old world for our 6 Plus teammates and kin. Do you want to take us through these big changes, mate?
Absolutely. So I was actually a little bit prepared, and I've managed to sneak the links to what I'm about to talk to into the description below. So
well done.
You don't even have to Google it. I've just been in there behind the scenes.
That's beautiful.
So
I feel violated.
I'm just impressed someone's that organised. I'm not even mad. I'm just impressed.
I did do it at 8:28.
Well done.
You may have seen the Old World 6 channel has rebranded to Close Order. Does that mean that we're no longer affiliated with 6
Yes.
Is this the end of a beautiful friendship? No. The reason is numbers and symbols are really bad for search engine optimization. That's all I'm going to say on the subject. If you want to see more about it, I've got a video in the description talking about, what the plans for the channel are, etc., etc. But excitingly, as well, I've opened up memberships. So if you have too much money in this day and age, I know we're all struggling with the low cost of living. If you have nothing better to do with it, you can throw some of it at me. You don't have to, but I will like you more if you do. Again, that's all.
Now I know.
Yeah, there are actual vaguely intangible benefits. You get to have some input on the content I do, that sort of stuff there. That is all in the video link below. And there's also a new Old World Discord for the 6 Old World content. That's linked down below as well. Still going to be, there's still going to be notifications for the Old World sections in the main channel, but I wanted to have the flexibility to do some VIP sections and all of that good stuff as well. So if you're interested in Old World, go and click on those and do the stuff. If you're not interested in Old World, click on it anyway.
Will you be beating off Old World players as part of the membership?
No.
That's been a big part of Bugwatch's success, as established at the start.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be part of my strategy. Just mostly on the basis of too many people have been watching, so I haven't got enough time. I'd love to do it, but I haven't got the.
That's why Davey brought JP in.
He's not a level 4 wizard. That's why.
Yeah. All right, wonderful. Okay, I think that's it from a promotional standpoint. We're going to take it to the news. We're going to cover some news for you, ladies and gents. So I'm going to invite these gentlemen here to react to something. I'm going to start this very straightforwardly. The Imperial Agents book and its model is out. Boys, what do you think of that?
Yep, that's certainly a model they have released.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that's what...
I think it's dog shit.
I'm trying to move it away from the model.
Let's just cut to the chase. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I mean,
the model's appalling.
The sculptors almost across the board do fantastic work.
Oh yeah, that's why it's funny.
They've accidentally released it for the wrong game. It's a first generation Age of Sigmar Stormcast. Chunkier than anything they've released for like 5 years. It's like a Terminator width. Yeah. What is going on? Where's the decoration on it? Yeah. It's I'm not going to say a disgrace. It's a bit of plastic. Like it's not that deep. Yeah. But like,
it's a reminder of how high the standard now is. That when you're like, what the hell is that? Right? Like, what on earth is this? And because it's Cotius as well, who has one of the most iconic old Inquisitor models. Looks incredible. Even the bird in this model looks appalling. Like, it looks absolutely terrible.
Yeah, and it's had hair implants. I mean, no. Go
on, Davey.
Yeah, no, it's so it's bad. It's even worse when you consider that the Sigmar model that was released at the same time. There's like a Sigmar model released at the same time.
Right?
So bad. It just looks way better.
Yeah.
So it just looks like as Ed says, a really crap Age of Sigmar model.
Yeah.
Which it just puts it even more context. But here's and I don't know if this is true or not, right? So if you think of it, it's very, as Ed alluded to, detail light, right? And at the same time, this is a detachment or a faction. Fuck all people will play.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there an angle where this is just easy to print? It'll cost us nothing.
They've just put low effort in because they don't think it matters.
Because
Exactly.
Sai
It's
will
like,
buy one. That's
you
what
know.
they're thinking. They're like, Sai will buy one. The one guy that plays the army.
Yeah, shout out to Sai, who will be coming on this show to review the Imperial Agents book in depth when it finally arrives. As far as the book itself goes, I mean, the book confirms that Death Watch themselves are dead as a standalone faction. That's obviously quite a big moment, right?
Well, can't
It
you
makes
just
sense.
play them with all of the other Space Marine detachments?
Yes.
You can.
So they're
You can.
more alive than they've ever been before. Fuck all of y'all. Death Watch are back.
No, but you can't take a bike.
It's
and
a very
squad
good
and
exercise in
them.
perspective, Ed. I prefer my shocking, dramatic Death Watch had gone forever. Oh no, we'll never see them again.
And I prefer to argue.
Yeah.
It now makes more narrative sense because they're meant to be a force that comes from all the chapters to just deal with aliens.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a whole army of like everything hodgepodge together. It should be little kill teams and a plane.
Yeah.
Done.
Next up, John's going to talk about why one Custodes model is all you should bring to a tournament.
5 wardens, allied in. I'm in for it. There you go.
But there you go, John. Right? You said 2 words there that absolutely identify that faction: kill team.
Yeah, because that's what
Yeah.
they are. They are
That's where it
literally a
should
kill
be.
team.
That's
Get
it.
out of
They're-
it.
They're a
And
kill
they're
team.
not. And they're not. They
But
don't
all
have
that stuff
rules.
before, when you used to play against Deathwatch, and they had a unit with a Viking and a Terminator and an Intercessor and a Scout or whatever. Get out of here with that. That's too difficult, man. Like
Head round that list.
the player I was playing couldn't keep up with it. Never mind me.
There is one unit still. So the kill team Cassius, the name character one that's got the biker, like the White Scar, is coming back. That's one thing they have said. So, but it's not going to be the whole thing where the bike goes through a wall like they're having that weird bullshit.
will it?
Night.
Oh, mate.
Because only big Tyranid monsters can run through walls. Am I right,
Oh, yeah.
David?
Or Primarchs, or
and Knights.
Belisarius Call.
And
Nice.
9th edition Death Watch were so fun. They were
No, they
a
weren't.
real, like, they were bad objectively, but then you just go like, hey, I'm moving like 27 inches and you're in combat and I've got loads of attacks that are actually just going to mull you. And you've
Yeah.
goes, oh, I didn't understand how that worked, even though you told me. So now I
Yeah.
guess I lose the game.
And as a Xenos player, it still absolutely whacked Xenos. So it did that. It always does that. I was going
But
to
broadly
say,
speaking, I'm a fan of them
sorry,
all
you go.
taking all different things.
yes, I
I
like
think that's
the
quite
look
cool.
of it. The look of it is really fun. It's just we'll wait and see how competitive it is. It might give some quite fun, like plug-in flex to Imperial armies, right? I think something like Knights being able to bring a little entourage of foot people, that feels quite exciting for what that could open up for them, essentially. But more as that emerges, I guess.
What I want to say is,
Yeah.
we've had confirmation that Grey Knights aren't being squatted. And
Yes,
they are
they're
keeping
not.
their own code. I told all y'all, you told me I was wrong. I've been preaching it. There was no way they were getting rid of Grey Knights.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'll be interested to see what they do with Grey Knights because, as we've talked about before, they've got a very specific niche and role at the moment, so they'll need to get creative to make a book interesting. But that'd be good. All right. So elsewhere in news, Davey, King of the Ping, mate. Our summer league is underway. What's the happy haps on this?
Yeah, so we have King of the Ping. So I'm just going to, for those of you watching, I think, 7? You can now see some slides, I think, if Tom sticks it on the main bit.
John, can you stick it on the main
Oh,
bit?
John, sorry, John said
Don't worry,
something.
I'm doing
John,
it.
if you want to deputise to me, since that's what we seem to be doing, you're more than welcome to. I can't do it. I haven't got the control right now, but
No.
Why
feel
can't
free
I
to
do
chuck
it?
them in.
John's into the Matrix right now.
This is awful. I've never done this.
Paul
live.
Evans
I don't
talking
know.
about Imperial Agents, by the way, where it says, going to be good for a person that likes huge variation in their army, lots of different styles of painting. I completely agree, Paul. I think it's going to be really nice in that the variety on offer.
Speaking of huge things, Sindri says the model looks like the wide Putin meme.
Yeah,
That's the
that's-
best description
I've
that I've
got a
seen.
lot of time for that. That's really,
Well done,
really fun.
Sindri. High five.
Yeah.
All right, so King of the Ping, if you do not know, it's we have different seasons and we will put in a tournament. So we did our first kind of trial one last time, and it's really good. I think we've got to the final with Tom versus...
Yeah, so it's
Ben.
me and Ben need to play at some stage, and Will. We're also in the same pod, so we'll get to play again as well.
Yeah, so you get to play twice.
That's going to be fun. But yeah, we'll get that done soon. I say we're both sort of... We're like, cool, this was fun. It was good. It's all about playing into the members and stuff, right? So we're not too...
Absolutely.
That was our first trial run, really.
Yeah, so I wanted to see if we could make it work and if it was smooth, what kind of issues we come up with. We learnt loads from that. And as a result, now we've done the summer season. So the summer season, we've had no less than 32 signups, which is really good. Really, really pleased. A lot of them, and the majority of which, are members. So thank you for becoming members, and thank you
huge
for
thank you
taking
to
part.
everybody. Yeah.
And playing 40k against us. All right, so let's have a look at the faction breakdown. I thought you might be interested in what the faction breakdown looks like. So there is obviously a skew to Tyranids here because of Bugwatch.
Yeah.
And so we've got 6 Tyranid players. That only went to 6 on like the day before.
Because Davey was asking people to switch faction. I've got first-hand accounts of him telling people to change their army.
Well, okay, Slops put in some, I don't know, some other mediocre army.
Yeah, to be fair, you literally saved him.
Slopsy,
and I was like, dude, he said, I figure everyone will be taking Tyranid, so I'll do something else. And I was like, mate, come on, rep the bugs. So he kindly agreed. And we'll maybe find out a little bit more about that later in this presentation.
Oh, we will.
But so we've got 6 Tyranid players. Dark Angels was the number 1 taken faction for up until the day before, which was really, really cool. And that was exciting because we haven't seen much of those, so I thought that was quite interesting. We then have Drakari, which is something quite interesting about them, which we'll see on the next slide. And then we start getting into bits and bobs, which is interesting enough. If we go on to the next slide, though,
you seem to have lumped Night Lords in with Chaos Space Marines, by the way, which I'm not incredibly.
Oh yeah,
same.
Not massively chuffed with, but that's fine.
So what I've done here is break down what members have taken versus members of 6++. So Tyranid players, we have 4 members taking Tyranids.
Oh, nice.
Two 6++ers playing Tyranids.
That's great.
Now John Partridge isn't taking part. So who could that other?
Very good question. It's our captain.
It's our captain, Chris Tull.
Has he read the book yet?
He's playing Vanguard Onslaught, and he went into Harley's Eldar last night.
Don't spoil it.
Don't give it
away. And then we have all 4 Dark Angels, all 6++s, which I thought was quite
nice.
Wow, there are four Dark Angels players on the team.
Yeah,
this is news to me.
I've done 4 episodes about them. I'm allowed
It's been extremely quiet from them for the last year, but they're back.
Speak for yourself, Tom. I've been taken in a circle when they weren't good.
Have you? Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
John's loyal. John is loyal.
It was sad.
John is
I was there going, hit you with it.
And then all 3 of the Drakari players are members as well. So even though we have Archon and Dracon,
shout out to Rob. Sorry, Rob. I didn't realize it was the secondary role. I thought it was the senior leader. We had a mix up. I called him Dracon Rob in our content. Then we looked up what it is, and it's like the Archon's little bitch boy. And I was like, oh, whoops. But we'll see.
I mean, for context, you and Rob were both at RTTs this weekend, right?
We were, yeah, and I finished first, and Rob came second at his, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
and at Sheffield, you picked him as well, didn't you?
I think I finished above him at Sheffield as well, yeah. So if Rob wants to get out of this Dracon position, he knows what he needs to do. Just humble me. Humble me, Rob. Come at me.
Absolutely. And then you can see Tom here in the CSM. Chaos Space Marine section.
Yes,
Tom is taking Dread Talons, and the other one is Gordy, the Guru, who is taking Renegade Raid.
God bless Gordy. We love Gordy.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the faction breakdown, which I thought was quite
It's a good spread, actually. It's more diverse than I thought it was when I first looked.
So then I thought, let's see the groups, and you can see where the Tyranid players are, and I'll do the Dark Angels players after this. So really interesting. We've got Chris, our captain, in Group 1. Or the group of death, you might call it, to be honest, out of this section. We've got Slops in here with Synaptic Nexus. We've got Brain Seller, who actually did very well in the last one. He got into the quarterfinals.
Brain Seller had a blinder. Yeah, played really well.
Yeah, great job, Brain Seller. Then we've got Doom Melon on Crusher Stampede.
The Doom Melon.
Salute that man.
I love it.
We've got myself on Synaptic Nexus, and I will be playing a mirror into Vanguard Onslaught with VT Kobe.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Who I think was playing Paul James earlier on. I wonder how that went. I'll have to go and have a look in the results section.
I think I know how that went.
I have a guess. Yeah.
That's not a good matchup for the.
No, it's not.
And then we have Dark Angels players. So we've got Scrivo and Jack Doddy in the same group. Of course, Scrivo being in a circle and Jack Doddy being company of hunters. So that's Raven Wing, right?
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah, so that's going to be a really interesting matchup.
That's really fun.
Different.
Shout out to Jack Doddy for finding the spiciest way to play Dark Angels now. No one's doing it.
The one everyone wants to see. We've got Ben Peen in a circle and Rob here with Vanguard Spearhead.
Yeah, Rob mixing it up with Uppy Downey Dark Angel. I do think I was half expecting John Lennon to bring a Vanguard Dark Angels list. That was my anticipation. So I think Uppy Downey on some of those units is really good.
Absolutely. And then last season's finalists. So I thought this was quite interesting. So we've got Tom and Ben, both in the same group as Tom alluded to before.
We have.
We then have Jack Chapman of the team.
Who's sticking on GSC.
On GSC.
All credit to him because he was flirting with just running some kind of gun line. And then he was like, no, I'm going to stick at it. I'm going to make this work.
Jack's playing more games of GSC than the entirety of every WTC squad. That's incredible.
That is correct. Yeah. That is correct.
Yeah, so big high five to Jack. And then we've got Brain Cellar there on Synaptic Nexus as well. And then just to look at those groups, just to quickly talk about them, I think so. Group 1, I think, is our group of death. We've got Chris, Harley,
this is. I don't know how this was seeded, but this is fucking nuts in here.
Well, so pleased not.
So it's
there's Ed and Harley, and then there's Chris playing an army that he hasn't played much.
Yeah, there is that. Okay. And Chris is frankly adorable on TTS. Like it's like a puppy dog. It's very, very sweet.
So the way it was seeded, good question, right? So we wanted to mix up 6++s with members, right? So luckily there was 12 6++s, and then Ed Watts realized that he hadn't sent his list in with half an hour to go.
That sounds
so
like
on brand.
So then he got just randomized into the groups, and that's where he landed.
Beautiful.
But yeah, we've got some really interesting groups there. I'm really looking forward to telling you how they get on. We've got some results.
Oh, yes, we do.
Come through. Some of my favorite lists. I'll go through them really quickly.
Just very quickly before you do, Captain Caveman. That's Paul, isn't it?
That is Paul.
Yeah.
Paul is indeed Captain Caveman.
We've got 4 members of 6++ playing Dark Angels, and Paul isn't one of them.
Yeah.
Paul, one of the subplots of the last couple of months is that Paul has not been brought back. The changes have not brought back Paul from the brink. He's not come back from the Wolves. He's just enjoying Wolf Jail too much. Although he's not running Thunderwolves in this list. I believe he has 3 Wolf and Dreadnoughts instead.
Ooh, that's spicy.
It's oppressive
really
in a
fun.
different way.
Yeah, Paul is nothing but oppressive.
Yeah, that's his play style.
That is his play style. So I picked out 3 lists. Josie's World Eaters. So this is Demon Prince with -1 damage, Angron, Lord of Brickatus, 120 Jackals, 3 times 2 Chaos Spawn, and 2 Ectoplasm Forge Fiends. So that is going to take the board with a 5 up in
bonkers. Yeah.
For 6 and a 5 up Fiona Up in.
I love it.
Very cool. We've then got Cy Bishop's Imperium. So we were talking about Imperium before. Cy just went, I know the book's coming, but getting it in there. And there's loads of words here that I don't know the meaning of. So you can see that and
he's got 4 assassins and Inquisitor Kotias, some chaff, some more chaff, some other chaff, and then Canis Rex. That's bonkers. I love it. Like, it's great.
Absolutely. And then finally, we've got Zito's Death Guard. So, I heard you like characters, which is super strong. And then we've got 12 Terminators knocking about as well. The Death Shroud Ride.
Oh, yeah. 12 Death Shroud's really stodgy.
And the Land Raider.
Yes, which the Death Shroud can go in.
Yeah,
and then get out of, and then charge. This is an extremely fun list. That is very, very cool indeed.
I'm glad you think it's fun because he's already had a game. He won 92.
Yes, he
31.
absolutely hammered my mentee A-Rad. 92-31. Poor A-Rad.
Savage, isn't it?
Absolutely brutal.
We've got Pickalax with his Eldari going against Paul's Champions of Rus with a fairly close game, 18-point differential. We've had Tom Loman's Night Lords going into Hypercrypt.
Yeah, this shout out to Luke because this game started when I was about to turn in. I was like, I am going to get destroyed here, and I think Luke also thought he was going to destroy me. And then a couple of sneaky Night Lords things happened, and it really, really went the other way instead. I actually think the Night Lords detachment is low key quite good, but in a sneaky way, and it demonstrated that in that game. But Luke was a gent.
So after that high of the win, Tom, you then went into Synaptic Nexus, Slop's very own Synaptic Nexus.
Yes.
Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, that was really good. So Night Lords, obviously, they like to battle shock things, and Tyranids have 3d6 leadership, and unfortunately that slightly cancels out my minuses that I'm trying to apply. But Slop's made some nice plays with the Parasite running around, because on this mission we had the inspired leadership rule as well, so +1 to your battle shock if your leader's nearby. So the Parasite was running around behind the lines, stopping anyone getting spooked. But this was a really good, tight, contested game. Accursed Cultists did their thing, and I measured a charge once, thought it was a 6, moved my Warp Talons out, saw it was a 7, decided to go for it anyway, and failed and lost my Warp Talons turn 1. And that is what you don't do, kids. So the lesson there is, if it's a 7, don't try it.
Yeah,
and I think that was a big moment in that game, but Slops played it really well. Synaptic Nexus, when it gets to do this mortal wound sniping thing it likes to do, is really good. Like really good. Great game.
Yeah, I described it in the Bugwatch chat as it's always really fun and it's sometimes very good.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's incredibly satisfying to just get to randomly smite things, basically, right? In a way that armies just don't get to do otherwise. It's like, it's your turn. By the way, boom.
Yeah, exactly. And then last but not least, we've got Harley with his Eldari going into our
This is a controversial game.
Yeah, trigger warning, everyone. A cheating controversy.
So much cheating.
I don't know. I saw this fly through the chat, so someone will have to.
I mean, the crucial things here are that Harley basically just won this game through skullduggery, and I think if there were a couple of minor rules infractions, like Harley tried to tank shot with a Wraith Knight, which is not a vehicle. He didn't do any mortal wounds, but that still could have had a massive impact on the score. And Harley also thought that you couldn't reduce the cost of a stratagem below 1 CP, which, again, if Chris's Hive Tyrant had been somewhere relevant on the board at some point in the game, could have maybe affected the score as well. So I think our analysts estimate that maybe if Harley plays the game fairly, Chris gets about 58 to 59 points. So he has been robbed there. And ultimately, the Vanguard Onslaught on their debut struggled to get their teeth into a Eighth Night list.
This is really on brand for Harley, bless him. So I asked everyone to send in their list on a PDF, and he sent it to me on a Word document with his name spelled wrong.
I love Harley so much. It's great. It's a really fun list, though. Like, honestly, his list is very cool. The Wraith Knight is actually low key very good.
Sorry, I finished screen sharing. Sorry.
We're off and running. It's been super fun, and I think I'll be looking forward already to thinking about what we're going to do for the next one. Thank you very much, Davey, for running it. It's been a joy so far.
Yeah, we'll have the new one coming probably October. So if you want to join in, become a member, and you can play with us.
Yes, absolutely. Do please, as this is the moment where we ask you for things. So please do hit like and subscribe. Please do leave us a comment. All this stuff helps us to continue soaring up through the world. As Ed's alluded to, maybe our name isn't optimal for search engines. So if you guys want to help us out and somehow overcome this disability, that would be wonderful. And obviously, we've got our members. You can be signed up to be a member on YouTube and help to support us that way. We've got 40 now. It's been a really incredible year for that. So thank you so much to everybody who's signed up. If you're interested in getting coaching from myself or Lewis or Chris or Rob, we've got a whole bunch of people doing coaching and mentoring. That's where our Nids and Drakari players are getting their teaching in the chats at the moment. And you'd like to do that, then please do get in touch and we can sort that for you via membership as well. So amazing. Thanks so much all of you for your support. It's been a really phenomenal year and it's got a long way to go yet. It's quite nice hitting all of your goals about 5 months early and just getting to cruise through and keep going even better for the rest of the year. So we're really excited. I don't know about John. I'm quite looking forward for post WTC. As exciting as WTC is, it's really hard to have a mental fix on anything else until that's done now. I'm not even playing, and I'm fried.
I don't really want to talk about things because people are like, "Oh, is that you giving away something?" I'm like, "No, I just don't want to talk. Just stop."
Absolutely. But that's where we're going next, guys. So we're talking WTC now. So the World Teams Championships is happening in just a couple of weeks' time in Belgium. All of the international 40k teams will be meeting to throw down in a big hangar. I believe I've never been against one another and determine who is at this moment in time very good at Warhammer, and that'll be fun and it's going to be really nice, and all of those names from the internet will be there, including me and John, so that'll be fun. And what we're going to be doing today is talking about some of our favorite lists, because we got access to the list a day ago or today, I can't remember. We'll come exactly when they were supposed to come up. Obviously John and I have had slightly earlier access because we've been list checking and other different things, but so we're going to be talking through some of our favorite lists today. Before we do this, a monologue. We spend and have spent an awful amount of time talking about when this game is bad, and content for most of the time I have played this game has, in large spells, had to talk about when this game is bad. And it has done that with aplomb. It's done that very well. It's done that very convincingly, and lots of changes have come as a result of it. We have had a really, really good few months in this game. It's in an incredible spot. The balance in the game is really interesting. You've got indexes being repeatedly brought back to life and thrown back to the top of the competitive game in a way that, if you think about 9th or 8th edition, simply would not have been happening. Right? The pattern, the release and play pattern I was raised on in 40k was, well, unless you're playing this new thing that just came out, you're just not going to win, and you just have to keep on this treadmill forever. We have broken free of that treadmill in the last year or so, and that is largely thanks, I suspect, to the balance changes made in terms of their team internally. And I think for WTC this year, you are seeing that more than ever, because WTC last year, if you think about what they were taking, well, you have to have Eldar, you have to have GSC. There's a few armies out there that are just nuts, and then it's whatever else you feel like making do. Whereas this time around, the diversity of factions, armies, and lists out there is insane. And I think that's a testament to the way the game's currently going. And so, as I say, we're all up for having a moan. I think it is well worth for having a moment for how exciting the game currently is. And that's certainly how my players around me and my team have felt in recent times. They're all playing exactly the army they want to be playing, and they're all having a good time. Is genuinely facilitating that right now. And I think that's awesome. So I'm here for it.
I can't believe they fixed the fucking game after I've stopped playing. Like,
I know.
What a bunch of dickheads. I've been so unhappy for 4 years. Beating my head against a brick.
They're trying to reel you back in it. They're like, look, we fixed it. We can change. We'll be different this time. You wait till Imperial Agents.
They're doing that with Old World as well.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. Neil Robertson asked in the chat, are there any Soulforge lists from WTC? Oh, Neil. Neil,
3?
just you wait, because that's one of mine. I've picked one. We will be talking Soulforge. Soulforge is awesome. I'm glad you're on that Soulforge train, Neil. You'll have a great time. So what I have tasked my team with doing in a very airy-fairy, me last-minute-y kind of way is picking one spicy list, one favourite list, and one new meta piece list. And I know you're thinking, you can very reasonably argue that those are all the same thing and there's no meaningful distinction between them. And I would say you are correct, but I have left it to my team to be discerning. And I trust their judgment. I trust their ability to decipher the stupid words that I spew. And I have faith in my team that they've come up with lists that fit these different criteria. And so I guess, I don't know how you boys want to do it. Do you want to each go through the 3 you've picked and do it that way and sort of cycle around and chat? And then we can do some overall thoughts on the state of the list and the state of the teams afterwards. Does that seem reasonable to you guys?
Or should we do all of the spicy ones first?
Yes, let's do the spicy ones first. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Okay, spicy lists first.
Right.
Give me page 464.
464, there we go. You're my hero.
Ed's starting with the spicy list. Sam Dunn says Ed was actually the problem. No, Ed was never the problem.
I am. Now that I'm gone, they've fixed the game. But that's fine, because we're vibing. And you know what we're vibing with? We're vibing with Thailand. Look at this. This is incredible. This is the one list. I think every other Adeptus Custodes list is the bog standard, whatever, I don't care. This is Talons of the Emperor. Ooh. Which is the one that you might not recognize, because who would play it? It's the one that, basically, for those of you at home who don't know how this works, your units get more gooder if they're next to, for example, if you've got Sisters of Silence next to Adeptus Custodes, they both get a little bit better. You get, I think, Feel No Pain and +1 a hit or something. I don't even remember. That's how terrible I think this detachment is. But we've got one hero of the Imperium who is running it, and I'm here for it. And I think it's actually genuinely quite a good list to fill a niche. Now, what is that niche? This is, in my opinion, the anti-guard list. Because if you scroll down a little bit, dedicated transports. Well, there's 3 rhinos there. That's interesting. And if you scroll up a little bit, there's a land raider for Custodes. Well, what does that mean? That means you can start every bit of infantry you care about off the board. Yeah. And you can double Vanguard, double rapid ingress in your Venatari, and just, I think that's incredible.
It's a massive null deploy, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think all this is doing is going, oh, you've brought guard. Weird, but sure. Let's.
And the rhinos trigger the sisters ability as well, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yes. They do, because they're sisters rhinos. So that's awesome. Very smart spot, John.
It's a really fun list, and if you scroll a little further down as well, sorry. Keep going.
So many of them.
There's also Kyriapraxis.
Good old Draxus. Yeah.
He goes so well in guard, in custodian guard, because she gets she gives the full rerolls. Sorry, she gets the full rerolls and she gets the double shoot. So once a game, she gets 24 shots that are damage 2, full rerolls to wound. It's just good stuff.
What I like about this is that this is a Custodes list that feels like it can throw some stuff away for a few turns before it has to play the game, in a way that Custodes at the moment really struggle to do. Yeah. So I think if you're trying to keep it tight, trying to get your points, trying to stay in the game, I think this is going to be able to throw some assets away for scoring and points without immediately breaking its own back.
So this is something I wanted to talk about before we got into it, but then forgot because we all got kind of swept away. When you're looking at these lists, remember, you should not carbon copy them. 1, you're not a WTC player. You wouldn't need to watch this. You'd be there. 2, this is teams.
Good point.
Teams. This is not a singles list. This is a list that's gone, we have a problem. We need to fix the problem. How do we fix the problem? Well, we take loads of transports and then we just do other things. I wonder if this plays well into... maybe it plays well into Thousand Suns as well.
It might well. There's some feel no pain related shenanigans in here, isn't there?
Absolutely. And transports. Yeah. Like, sure, Magnus can blow something up, but if it's a 95-point Rhino, I think Rhinos are actually 85 points or something along those lines. If it's a cheap
75.
Rhino... 75! God, what I'd give for a 75-point transport in any of the armies I played.
But unfortunately, dwarves in Old World don't have Rhinos.
No, but they do have scout gyrocopters, which is almost as cool. I love it. I really like this list. I think it does a fantastic job, and I hope that Thailand do really well. Singapore,
I was going to say, having Singapore, Thailand, having China, there's a bunch. I said Team Championship feels more like a championships this time than it has in previous years. It's really exciting to see a whole range of different teams here, and obviously, absolutely 100% rooting for Thailand. Let's see how this list gets on.
I've just had a thought. So I don't know if anyone else is interested in esports at all. Something that is really interesting when you look at esports, and not the ones where the Asian teams do really well, like your MOBAs, they tend to have a dominating presence. But if you look at stuff like first-person shooters, like Counter-Strike, where there's not a huge player base there, the meta, the way they play is wild, because they are so removed from the rest of the world. They just play against themselves, and they're like, this is a normal, reasonable thing that everyone will be doing. And you'll go to an event and be like, what the hell are they doing? I've never seen this before. So huge fan of seeing some of the Asian teams come out and just bring some real spicy stuff.
Yeah, I'm massively curious for it in that sense. And I think again, this beautiful combo of like complete shake up to the game balance, just as everyone's shutting down before a WTC as well, means that sort of internal meta thing is going to be just, I think, the case across a whole bunch of countries. It's really cool. But as you say, it's going to be really fun to see how the different international teams get on. Davey, what is your spicy list, my friend? Should we move it along?
Mine, if you Control F, John, for Sinbek.
Yep.
Ooh.
S-I-N-N.
That's very fancy, isn't it?
There you go, Dean
Sinbek. So this is the guy who's
Australia
for the blog god. And Dean's list. So obviously, I am partial to my world eaters.
You are.
But, Dean's list here is very, very fun. So world eaters players tend to take loads of characters. This has one character, and it's kind of Betrayer. Very nice. I know that Dean spoke on his channel about just dropping him on an objective, and then he always will fight on death. So any kind of first, I'm going to put these scouts on this objective, or I'm just going to try and charge you, or whatever. He will hurt you back, which is really fun. And then there's loads of bodies in this. So many bodies. There's a lot of jackals, not the most jackals, but there's a lot. Then there's a few legionnaires. That's cool. Then there's 30 fucking world eaters terminators.
Yeah.
And that is a vibe.
That's incredible.
It's a lot of 2-up save, boys. And there's still a couple of 8-bound squads for wrecking heads when you need it.
For those reroll ones to wound, right? So you've got the reroll ones to wound on these terminators. The terminators obviously are 4-up invul, 2-up armor, and probably a 6-up feel no pain because of the world eater's ability.
Yeah.
They might be fighting on death, they might not.
They can be plus movement, advance, and charge. Like for terminators, they're going to get about, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. 2 Reaper autocannons in each one, so they've got some stuff to go at. I just think it's super fun, super spicy.
It's very different. It's
how
very
stacking
different.
up all those Terminators, it goes. It'd be really interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's bonkers. I love it. Really, really different. John, what is your spicy list? Sam
Well-
Dunn says, I saw this. Is it blood jail? You're going to blood jail.
I think that's such a good way to describe it.
I think that probably is exactly what it's going for. Yeah.
So,
Right then,
But there's
John.
no Lord of Invocatus. Sorry, so there's no scout except
Yeah.
for the
There's no scout.
except for the 8-bound.
it's
The
just
8-bound
honest.
themselves, but it's
just
only
very
3 men.
honest.
Yeah, so maybe the 8-bound go out ahead. Who knows? We'll have to see this thing played.
Absolutely.
Australia have gone wild with their list. Like, there's some bonkers stuff. I think Morrisoli's running like big slabs of genuine Chaos Bikers in Renegade Raiders. Like, it looks amazing. Like, there's all sorts of weird stuff, and they always bring something that no one's seen before that's a bit crazy, right? And does really well. So I'll be interested to see what it is this year. Right then, John, what we got?
So, I really liked the Greek list
Oh,
that Andreas is bringing for Necrons.
Ooh.
So it's Hypercrypt. It's called Subscribe to My Oni Catans.
Great start.
It has
Yes.
literally that got my attention. I was like,
That gets my vote already. Well done, Andreas.
It's got 2 hex marks, 2 transcendent Catans, the Deceiver, Nightbringer, and the Void Dragon.
Oh, lots of
Full on
Catans.
hero
What?
hammer. Yeah,
Is that a skew?
exactly.
That is 5 Catans, Ed.
And then 5 Immortals. Yeah, they're a thing, right?
Lordy.
Then 15, 3 sets of 5 Death Marks, 2 sets of 5 Flayed ones, and then a couple of Locust Destroyers. It is literally
It's
just like
full MSU and then
Yeah.
just 5 Catans just holding it
it's
down.
like Hero Hammer. I'm like, it looks so mad. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I want to see what he does with it because it's just going to be uppy, downy madness. It's going to be great.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Hypercrypt has got that kind of. It's actually very good in teams at the minute, right? It loves secret missions. It can play secret missions better than most armies, which means it's actually very hard to get a good differential into a good Hypercrypt play because they keep you guessing and stay in the game by jumping around and jumping in places at the end. So I think it's really interesting in that sense. And this, I guess, has so many little tiny units for bopping about doing tasks.
Yeah.
And then the Catan are like, we will get primary somewhere. Don't worry. If we shove a bunch of Catan somewhere, that will eventually get you some primary. So I feel like it can score very well, very flexibly into a bunch of different things.
The big stuff does the work, and if you try to kill the big stuff and you don't, the chaff's just doing its thing anyway. So it's like,
absolutely.
You're damned if you don't, damned if you don't.
And Flayed Ones and Death Marks at 60 points each is very good value.
So cool.
Very good value. That's a really cool list. I like it. Right. Neil was asking Soulforge. So for our spicy list, we will go to the Chinese Soulforge list, John. I'm not sure what page it's on.
Don't worry, it's 97 because I have it in my head because I'm
bless
just
you.
locked in, man. There you go.
So here we have the Soulforge list for Team China. So you can see we have Abaddon. You just scroll down for us, John. We have a Warpsmith with, of course, the tempting addendum, which lets you absolutely annihilate yourself in exchange for doing even more damage. You've got a Cultist Mob. You've got Chaos Bikers, Chaos Bikers are just good in any list you plug them into, right? Just really, really, really good. And if we just get... Okay, so we've got Chosen here. We've got a couple of Forge Fiends. We've got double Venom Crawler. We have only a baby 5 mana Warp Talons, which, having lost to 300 brick turn 1, I can see the appeal in having just a 5-man. And then we've got Bikers, loads of Bikers, in fact,
3 biker lots,
ticking off all the tasks. And then some good old-fashioned Predator Destructors and Vindicators, which, of course, in Soulforge will be gradually turned into Demon Engines across the game.
So cool.
Each of those is going to be gradually Demon Engine, at which point it will synergize with all the beautiful output in Soulforge. So, Neil, you were asking for a Soulforge list. I think this Soulforge list reflects what, to me, I've discovered from playing Night Lords as well, which is that for CSM, the reality is there are just about 8 data sheets that are just really, really, really good. And whatever your detachment wants you to do, you need to make sure you bring those things and sprinkle those things in amongst it. And you play into the vibe of your detachment a bit, whilst remembering that actually the packs and the raw power of shooting and packs and everything else is what really makes CSM dangerous. And you've got that whatever you're playing. So you can have your flavor and your vibe and your detachment, but don't lose sight of it. Now, Abaddon, I miss Abaddon every time I play a CSM game without him. He takes things to bonkers levels. And with having Abaddon and the Warpsmith with the addendum in here, what you have is about 5 brutal shooting tanks that will essentially be re-rolling all of their hits. So you've got 2 castles of mobile reroll hits tanks, which anyone who's played against CSM tanks, this is the closest to the sort of pack-bound gunline lists that you had previously, but it's actually more flexible. It can spread out. It can be in more places at once. This, I would imagine, if I was to guess, this goes down in search of a light board for itself.
Yeah.
At which point you are going to die because it's going to shoot you incredibly hard whilst damaging itself. But as you can see, it's got tons of little scoring units sprinkled in there to make sure it's out there playing the game as well. But yeah, brutal output in this list. Really, really powerful.
Awesome.
Harris, you're in the chat. Lovely to have you here. Sticky Nickers says, evening, chaps. France have baller list. Poland going to smash it, yeah? Poland's lists are interesting. I wasn't expecting the exact spread that we got from Poland, but it's Poland, so the chances are they know something we don't, but we will see.
Almost guaranteed.
Yeah,
almost every single time.
I have a Soulforge list as my favourite one, Tom.
Oh, nice.
What, sorry?
I have a Soulforge list as my favourite one.
Oh, do you? Well, that's where we're going next. So, Davey, what is your favourite list?
Oh, well, if you go to page 112, please, John.
There we go.
Neil says that Dean's been hyping up the Terminators for months on his channel. Yeah, I've seen a couple of lists with the 30 World Eaters Terminators.
Oh.
I can't visualize it. I need to see it done. I need to see how it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, as you say, Neil, Abaddon plus a warship, that is, you're just going to have huge efficiency in your shooting wherever you want it, which is really, really powerful. And let's not forget that Abaddon also kills whatever he touches, which is not a bad thing to have lurking behind your gun line.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is my favorite. I think my favorite unspicy kind of cross as well, really.
Yeah.
But, so this is Leo Capri's team in Team Cyprus, his list. We have triple Warpsmith. Let's go, right? We're not messing about. Everyone's getting hurt, so we're gonna help everyone get better again. So they are almost the apothecaries of the list. You then have a bunch of cultists to go and stop you from getting charged straight away. You've then got 3 Forge Fiends with 2 with ectoplasms and 1 with Hades autocannon. So we're diversifying our threats. That's pretty cool. Then the centerpiece, the Lord of Skulls.
Oh yeah.
We're doing it. We're going big on Lord of Skulls.
Taking it to a Lord of Skulls place.
With the Gore Storm cannon, which I think is the damage 2 one off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And the Skull Hurler, which is just awesome. And then you've got 2 Mauler Fiends who are just going to punch anything that comes near you. And then 3 Venom Crawlers. So this, in my head, is what a Soulforge list should look like. Like it's just all big beasties with some little bodies. Like, okay, fine, I'll make a concession for some cultists. So this is so much fun. And you know what? I've eyed the models.
This is a purist Soulforge. So ignore everything I just said about playing to the strengths of the overall book and its data sheets, and actually just go and do the thing incredibly hard and go in 2-footed on massive demon engines.
Make the meme a dream. Make the dream. No, memes don't have to be dreams.
Don't let your dreams be memes. That's not it either. But that's
I think that was the Sage Malkador, wasn't it? At the beginning of the Horus Heresy, I believe he said that.
Famously.
Are there any defilers in the list? That would be my one complaint.
No, because no one wants to play Defiler, man.
No.
There was one at the RTT on Sunday.
I've got a Defiler I've never finished. I might take it to Faustus John's narrative.
Can that legally move around any board ever?
No, but it's a very big 12-inch aura of -1 leadership, if you look at it that way.
Excellent. If only.
That's going to do something. Wonderful. Okay, Ed, what is your favourite list, my man?
Page 142, please.
Oh, Keely's list.
It is Keely's list indeed.
Goodness
Denmark.
gracious, well done.
It was going to have to be Necrons. Now, if we go down to the characters, Imatech, farms some CP.
Oh, there we go. So it's this
Great
one here.
stuff.
Yeah, so Hypercrypt again.
Oh, yes.
Hypercrypt, I think, settled in as the breakout star for the Necrons now, post Canoptech having its slap on the face.
Yeah, which is reasonable. I think it was like 50-50 up there anyway. So.
I agree.
Yeah. Then we've got a Scorpec Lord. Scorpec Lord plus Scorpec Destroyers is a great little trick. I learned that when I played against Josie at Teams. That is such a good unit. Such a great... I mean, they were slaughtered to a robot, to be clear. But such a valuable... You have to really respect them. It's a really nice spice piece, and I'm glad that we're seeing more people take them. Then there's the Silent King. I like the Silent King. The Silent King gives quite a lot. He's got your usual, chapter master style pick one of these, get some rerolls, get some other bits and pieces. Great stuff. Also has like flat 6 damage shooting because you're less.
He does.
Just do that. Then, Battle Line Immortals, whatever. There's some other bits and pieces, Reanimator, Spiders, Death Marks, Flayed Ones. Wow, there's a lot of chaff in this list.
Oh my word.
It's almost like they're playing Hypercrypt. Flayed Ones, Locust Destroys. That's probably the whole list. Oh no, double Monolith.
It is so violent.
It is so violent. And then the
So
6
much
Scorpex
stuff.
Destroys.
So if you cluster that around the Silent King for context, it ignores all modifiers. So you're not armor of contempting, you're not damage reducing, you're not preventing any of this. You are getting hit full on in the face with it.
You know what this would be a great counter to? Only Catans.
Oh, don't. That sounds really sad.
Yeah, I think the Catans would go down hard. I wonder how this would go into Deathwing Knights as well. They get sad when they can't do all of
Really
their
well.
defensive things.
You know how I know this works well into armies that try and stack the defensive stuff? Because the other time I played Josie, before she was running the Scorpex, when we had a Necron mirror, and she was playing Hypercrypt, Monoliths are just brutal. I was not a fan of that at all.
They're crazy, aren't they? Yeah.
Nice.
Still only 375 points. Bonkers. It's such a good unit. It's really, really good.
A lad took at the RTT on Sunday, 2 Monoliths and the Silent King did very well.
Yes, I think it's very strong. It's interesting because Necrons obviously took some nerfs, and I think everyone was a bit down on Necrons. But if you look at the way the game is set up now, they really suit Prime. Like, they like it. Like, secondary scoring is much easier for an army that wants to come play in the middle, and then the secret missions love armies that can jump around. So whichever way you like your Necrons, they're actually very well suited to the way the missions now work. Being stodgy on points is really beneficial in a lot of these new missions and the way it works. So they've come through this just fine. Perhaps a little bit less oppressive, but still very much a thing. And all over the place in WTC this year, which is awesome. Okay, John, what's your favourite list, buddy?
Right. So this one is Team Slovakia's Dark Angels list.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's my favourite, not because it's Dark Angels, but specifically because
That helps.
the Lion is coming to WTC. If you said that to me last year, I'd have been like, nah, get in the bin. No one's
You
gonna
saying
do
that now, I'm like, nah, get in the bin. What are you talking about? What is going on? I don't understand.
He can go through a wall, Ed. He's going to have great times.
You know what else can go through walls? Deathwing Knights. Just take more
Yeah.
of those.
Well, funny that he has 2 units of 5 in this list. So let me break it down for you. So it's called Custodians at Home because
Yes.
a lot of people have been naming the list similar sort of thing.
There's been a lot of Custodians at Home jokes. I believe John Lennon's was also.
Yeah, weirdly. Yeah. So got the stereotypical biologists with fire discipline, which I believe is attached to some eradicators. Then we got Azrael doing his thing he will do. The combi lieutenant, which is often kind of teamed up with the Lion to give him a nice loan up to babysit him. It's 5 intercessors because they're always handy. Aggressors, in fact, there we go. That's where this one got spicy. There's aggressors in the list rather than the eradicators. I knew there was something. And then a couple of utility units of assault intercessors with jump packs, which you'll find in most Space Marine lists at the event. 2 units of 5 Deathwing Knights.
I think Assault Intercessors with jump packs have arrived at so cheap that it's not even.
You don't.
It's like it's so
in
obvious.
the list. You
It's
have
so
2
obvious.
units minimum. In your
80
list
points
before
for a
you start.
unit that can reliably do like half the mortal wounds you need to kill a tank, and then go and try and bother it is just incredible
I'll
value.
get 1 normally. I'll get 1, Tom.
Oh yeah, sorry. If we ignore that you can't roll 4s to save your life,
I can for saves.
for
but not
those
for
that
damage.
can, for those that can,
Do.
God, they're scary.
And then 6 Inner Circle Companions, which
Yep.
again, if you said to me on Codex
Incredible
launch,
unit now. Yeah.
so great. And then a Repulsor, which has been the thing that surprised me a little bit because we hadn't been seeing them in the UK meta for Space Marines that much, and there's a lot of them in Space Marine lists at WTC. And then some Scouts.
Yeah.
Two
So the
sets.
repulsor's a fun one, right? Like that is very cheap for a shooty transport with some jank built in. Like it's hit a really cheap price point now. You can fit a lot of bodies in it.
Yeah.
I think it likes WTC terrain a little bit more than UK TC terrain.
Yes.
I've been playing a lot of UK TC since the pack changed, and I have never needed transports less. Right? I mean, if you ignore, for Drakari, you have to because otherwise you don't get anywhere and you die. But for marine bodies, you can do most of what you need to do just running out from walls across that mid board at the moment. So I don't know the repulsor's needed in the same way, but it's really good on these boards.
In a
really
couple of the maps as well, there's quite an open middle. So having the staging and then that open middle to have it guard can be quite oppressive, I think, combined with the aggressors.
And last year, Dark Angels were the secret marine source that nobody saw coming, and they're trying to be again. Yeah. That's where we're at. They're back out.
That was the Polish guys last year. So remember that there was the whole thing. People went, "Oh, they've got a Land Raider. What's a Redeemer do?" and then post WTC, suddenly it was in every list. So
yeah, 100%.
But that's the
really,
list.
really
it's
strong.
Got a lot of the basic stuff, but I was interested to see that they had things like the Aggressors and the Lion because.
Yeah, it's just fun, isn't it? It's nice to see the Lion out. As I say, he might not be the most optimal pick, but he is amazing in his own way. Big, brutal fight first unit, very quick. I think he definitely puts out a lot of hurt. Yeah. And Dark Angels is one of those armies where people are like, can they hang with Blood Angels? Deathwing Knights can take a lot of damage. Is that going to keep them in the game against BA? We'll see.
They'll have a fight on death for 2 CP.
Yeah. At least 2 big international teams went out on record saying you'd be mad not to take Blood Angels and then didn't take them. So I think they definitely think that they've got something that can answer it. Whether or not they will, we will see. It's going to be really interesting to find out. We've got a lot of chat going on, and so I'm just going to call that out before we go to my list. Josh French, the Votan list for my favourite list. John, but we've got asking about AdMech lists. So I've not picked out any AdMech lists, Case, here in the chat, because I'm afraid I don't understand AdMech well enough. What I will say is that AdMech are evidently very, very capable in a team's environment now and actually putting up some good results in the UK in skilled hands. I think AdMech are back. I think they are taking a bit longer to figure out and get back out in the game. They don't have the same massive player base ready to go and hungry that something like Tyrannid, for example, has. But I think AdMech is back in a big way, and you only need to look at Johnny Simmons' run, the Sheffield Super Major, where he got all the way up and almost won the thing. And obviously Johnny is a very good indicator of where you can take AdMech at any given time because he's as good as they get, and he almost won a Super Major. So I think AdMech are very much in and around it. I think maybe Poland took AdMech. I'm not sure. I haven't got the list to hand at the moment. Anyway, this is Josh French. This is for South Africa, and this is Leagues of Votan, everybody. And it's Leagues of Votan, so you can almost guess what's going to be in this list. You've got an Einhir champion, you've got a Karl, you've got some Hearthkin warriors, you've got Sagittars, you've got Landforts, you've got Berserkers, you've got Hearthguards, you've got a bunch of bikers, but you've also got these new little forward deploy lads, and that's a big, big deal for Votan.
Jaeger bomb.
Suddenly, you've got Jaegers deploying forwards in the board, and in a team settings, what that means is whoever tells you, oh, it's Votan, I can go and do X. They can't tell you that because they don't know, because they might go second to drop a unit and then go second and then have half a Votan army in their face shooting them with lasers turn 1, and they can't model for it. And there's a beauty in Votan right now where they have what we call flip potential, right? You don't know exactly how that matchup's going to go, which makes people a little bit uneasy about playing into them because the Alpha Strike is very real. And if you look at the list there, you've got a big stack of the Pioneers and Sagittars. Those can all, if you've got a lane via the Jaegers and you go first, those can be a long way down and shooting at all sorts of things. And there are a bunch of armies in the meta right now who, if you can see them, are going to die. And they really don't like that plan at all. Beyond that, it's Votan, right? It's stodgy, it shoots well, it's very honest, it can score, it's going to take up shop in the midboard and try and survive. But actually, I think I played Votan for quite a while in teams and environments for this year. And one of the things they always had in their locker was the ability to turn a matchup on its head or grind out one they weren't expecting. And I think they served that role really nicely in teams. I know Josh French very well. He's a lovely lad. I think he'll smash it at the WTC. And he's just one of the most fun people to play in 40k. So I wish him all the best for this. I'm really excited to see how he gets on. Okay, is that all the favourite list covered? I believe it is.
I believe so.
So we're taking it to new meta pieces now. What is new and spicy out there in the meta? I'm going to invite the one and only Davey to go first. Davey, what meta menace have you detected out in these WTC lists?
Well, I'm a little bit biased. John, if you could look for Eric Forsman.
Yes, very good.
Is it with Eric with a K or Eric with a C?
Eric with a C.
There we go.
So this is a quintessential teams list, and as you all know, I absolutely love teams. But what I like about this is the fact that Crusher Stampede is now on the menu board. Like, oh my god, whose backing noise is that? That's Ed. Ed, have you got the Hoover on?
That might have been my fan. Apologies. I'll move.
Oh, okay. Crusher Stampede. Yeah, it's so much warmer now. Your fan's got off. So this is looking at one of the Tyranny detachments that has been very rarely seen. in Crusher Stampede. And Crusher Stampede is obviously, it's a shadow of what it was in 9th edition. Definitely
which was broken and
which was totally broken. But now, and I'm doing a video on this, so this will be out probably next week now. I'm trying to get it done this week, but probably be next week. Basically on how Crusher Stampede's really turned it around in this Prior Nexus. I've been playing with it for a little bit, so there's a few things that I can speak to about this list. I've actually written them down in my notes, so I'll just get those up real quick. But first of all, number one, Old One Eye in Crusher Stampede is really good. As soon as he takes damage, he gets +1 to hit. So he's hitting with 6 attacks on 2s, strength 14, -3, d6 +1 damage. The guy's pretty tough. And you go, okay, well, I'll just kill him. It's fine. Well, he has a 5 up feel no pain. And when he's hurt, he then hits on 2s. That's pretty cool. When he's not hurt, he's OC 5. So
puts you in a real pickle, that doesn't it, Davey? They've got massive OC, but if you try and do anything about it, suddenly they murder you.
Yeah, it's that decision point that we were talking about in the video, right? It's that decision point. The thing is, with Old One Eye, he regenerates. So I put him on an objective. My opponent charges him, doesn't kill him. Maybe does a couple of wounds. He then slaps him back, and then he regenerates to 5 OC in my command phase, which is kind of fun.
It's beautiful.
But of course, he's also a quite small base. And you can throw him through a wall, which is really, really good. You're going to be able to throw him through a wall because now you've got the other unit that's in the biggest glow up, I think, in Tyranids, which is the Swarm Lord. You're going to get a +1 CP. You're also going to vex the shit out of anyone anywhere near you.
Because he's bonkers,
which is awesome. He also loves running through a wall and slapping something because he's 8 attacks, hits on 2s, strength 10, -2, 3 damage.
Yeah.
With twin linked on your weapon, right? Which is really good. Of course, the stratagems in this detachment are really good as well. You can reroll hits. So the Swarm Lord, if you're worried about rolling ones, no bother. You'll be rerolling those and then rerolling your wounds. So it's I found it to be really quite reliable. I've lost my notes. This is good. It's gone. Anyway, no, I put it on an email. Right. So what else we got? We've got chaff, which I think you do need in this detachment. This detachment is inherently slow because it's all movement 8. And you have to run. You can only run one unit through a wall at a time. But one of the things so there's another list that's quite similar to this. I can't think what the team is now, but they have a very similar thing. They've got the 3 Tyrann effects, which we'll go into in a minute. But they also have a Neuro Tyrant. And actually, I chose Eric's over theirs because he doesn't have the Neuro Tyrant. And I think that's because, sure, you get -1 when you're within Synapse for the Shadows of the Warp. What the Neuro Tyrant does is makes that -2.
Yeah.
Problem is, these lists have barely any Synapse.
Yeah.
So you've only got the Swarm Lord and a couple, maybe 1 or 2 other units with Synapse. So in reality, you're never going to get the -1. So even if putting in a Neuro Tyrant, you're only going to get -1. It doesn't make it reliable enough to lean into that.
Yeah, unless you're getting to that -2, it's not worth it, is it?
Absolutely. Obviously, the list here, it's a bunch of monsters. The thing to really point out, though, is just something that I noticed with Crusher Stampede, is faster monsters than usual. So we've got loads of 9-inch move monsters, and we've got 10-inch move monsters in the Morlock and the Trigon. So they can not only get through a wall, but they get quite far. And Ed pointed out before in the pre-chat, they can pivot as well. So you've got the ability to really get those into places that your opponent necessarily isn't knowing about. And of course, they're probably going to rapid ingress in or deep strike in.
They will.
So they're going to be facing the right way, hopefully, anyway, before they then go and charge. So you're not wasting the 2-inch movement. And then last thing is the Trigon included. So one of the things that is you find with Crusher Stampede is you're in front of the opponent all the time. So your opponent just has to deal with what's in front of him. Having a 3-inch deep strike Trigon has to make them turn around and deal with it. So your go turn, you're pushing everything forward, then put a Trigon in their deployment zone and threat oversaturation.
Yeah. And if anyone hasn't played against a good player with a Trigon, you literally make them play. If you keep that thing for a couple of turns, they have to play stupid. They have to play stupid because that thing could suddenly pop up on a point with even more OC in this detachment and flip it at any stage. Which means you've got opponents spreading out on objectives, which on WTC means they're spreading out in sight and where they do not want to be to try and stop this Trigon suddenly popping up somewhere, which literally lets all your guns do the work. So it's an incredibly useful asset, I think, to have.
Last thing I'll touch on is the triple Tyrann effects with Rupture Cannon. So if you're interested in taking Rupture Stampede, I don't think this is what you take in singles, right? This is very much leaning towards killing enemy vehicles, knights, or whatever. I mean, not that there's many knights here, but you know what I'm saying. this is where I think you would twist it for singles. But that's terrifying.
It's brutal.
If you damage a Tyrannofex, which by the way ignores one of the wounds you give it, so that's one thing.
If you want to know how 3 land forts with Magna Rails firing at 3 Tyrannofexes and then them firing back goes, the land forts do no damage, and then the Tyrannofexes all kill the land fort. It's unreal.
At 2 shots, they hit on 3s, but they're heavy, and of course you can get +1 to hit as soon as it's damaged. Strength 18, -4, D6 +6 damage.
Bonkers damage.
Really crazy.
3
really crazy.
smooths out the variants. I think the issue with 1 is always that it's going to miss and it's not going to wound or whatever. 6 of them is just brutal range stuff.
And OC 7 before you hurt them.
Yeah, exactly that.
Nice.
And if you try and hurt them to get their OC down, they're hitting on 2s, and this is the problem the whole detachment presents. If you get caught in a bind, right? I love it. It's a proper stat checky build, I think.
Yeah, you'll be seeing a lot more Crusher Stampede, I think, in tournaments, not just from myself, but I know JP's finally got off the white bread and got into a detachment that is an invasion fleet.
God, I hope he's coping all right.
Yeah, I know. It's a big step. We're working with him.
Does he wake up in the middle of the night rolling 5 up Feel No Pains and not know what the fuck's going on? He's like,
he's sweating, man. He's sweating. But yeah, that's my favorite. That's my little.
Tyranids are just, I think, without a doubt, Tyranids are the most exciting book in the game at this moment in time. Like, it was always an incredibly well written book. It always had incredible flavor. The detachments are wildly different, and now it's very good. There's all sorts of cool stuff. Really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, favorite list. Shall we move it to? Oh no, we're on new meta piece, aren't we? So, new meta piece for Ed. Ed, what did you pick out?
You've muted yourself, Ed. But I'm going to
give me page 551. Yes, Bjorn Eriksson from Sweden.
Oh, yes. Bjorn from Sweden. It's all lining up. Perfect.
I can't believe that you'd even intimate some sort of accent there. That's really inappropriate. Bjork. So we've got, I think this is a fantastic list. So this is Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights, you might say. In my game, yeah, actually. There are some things that it can do. And I think this is a really interesting meta piece, as in it's an anti-meta piece. I think that Sweden specifically, well, there are, I think, 4 teams running the Atropos. I think these teams were really worried about the double monolith list or something similar. So this is a list that can absolutely, maybe, deal with the... well, it's double monolith, isn't it? So we'll see. But what we've got here to start off with, we've got Canis Rex. Canis Rex is the big slapper, the big daddy, got a big hand, does loads of sustained hits, just very good. Also has the new, one of your strats costs 1 less. So suddenly you can start using strats like Trophy Claim, which costs 2 CP, and it gives you +1 to wound versus vehicles and monsters. Caveat, if you kill the thing that you shoot at, you get a CP back. If you fail to kill it, you don't get to use the strat again that game, which is bizarre, but
that's
also amazing.
Cool rule.
It's funny. It's funny. So I think it's more that you want Canis Rex to get into combat before you activate this one.
Throw the corpse.
Yeah, but effectively, this could be a 0 CP strat. If you do kill the thing that you put it on and you use the reduction there as well. So good at killing vehicles and monsters there. Then we've got the Atropos. The Atropos is the anti-big thing knight. I can't remember exactly what it does, but it's got anti-Titanic, I think, on there. It's just very efficient at killing large stuff. It's one of those that's in the back of my head. It's like, in case of a monolith of emergency, break glass, get the Atropos out. That's what's going to fix it. It's also got absolute shooting supremacy. Now, WTC, if you haven't looked at the maps, what are the fire lanes like on WTC? You might say, what fire lanes? No. That's what I'd say. So if you're bringing shooting, you need it to be on something with perhaps towering, so you can edge in and get some angles, or something that's fast as fuck, boy. We've got 4 Helverin armatures.
Yeah.
These are, pretty decent shooting pieces, but they're fast. They can move, they can shoot. Jobs are good. There's a couple of the Warglaves in there as well. Yep. Just, I think, probably for points reasons more than anything else. And also it's good to have a little bit more melee force, which is always nice. But then you go into the scoring pieces. There's 2 Assassins and 2 units of Voidsmen. Eversor Assassin is just my favourite.
Eversor's so good now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even just the model is my favorite, but rules-wise,
yeah.
great as well. And then the Caladas Assassin, a little harder to use now, but also so punishing for some armies. If you can just sit that somehow in the middle of the board and not have it die, you just can't. You can't do anything.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, I love it. I really, really like this. I think it's probably what I want to see out of a shooting list and WTC. That ability to get where you need to be, have big OC, have some pretty solid melee threats. Also, I'm not super worried about losing a big knight turn 1 because you can hide, whereas you can't do that on all of the terrain formats. So yeah, absolutely love this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's interesting is that the loadout of the allied units very much mirrors how the Agents of the Imperium have been previewed to be able to be utilized. So we might see this style of ally thing kind of a lot more commonly in just lists from start.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be the way. And there's definitely still a place for a sort of skew list. I mean, the Crusher one we just saw, and this, in teams especially, suddenly just going all in on one profile is really, really powerful. And unless you've got great anti-vehicle shooting or anti-monster shooting, you're going to have a hard time. And actually, the overall meta has moved away from that, which means I think there's a few armies in the game that are much more vulnerable to that hard skew. So fingers crossed for Knights that they can exploit that. John, what is your meta pick, my man?
Right, mine is 569. So this is a man called John Lennon. Imagine him being innovative.
This is very timely, Swissley, because Swissley has just asked in the chat, can someone explain the Custodies at Home joke my friend is asking? Let us tell you a story about a man called John Lennon who took Custodies to WTC last year and played a very specific role, and I think is looking to play a similar role with the Dark Angels this time out, and I believe that is what that joke is intending to reference. Go on then, John.
So this is, again, it's the Gladius Dark Angels kind of list, but this one I think is what we will see. The reason I got kind of excited by it is it feels like the way his Vanguard list was previously, where you look at it and go, it's got all the good stuff in the right order and the right quantities. So I think this might be one that we'll see kind of echo and kind of repeated throughout kind of the tournament scene.
Judging by the impact his Vanguard Marines list has,
it feels very the same.
I think we'll see this a lot. Yeah.
So it's got the Biologist with the Fire Discipline again, Azrael, a Judicia, which will be giving a squad fight first, which
I'm guessing a big slab of Inner Circle companions somewhere.
It's got 5 Assault Intercessors. There is I hate the way they format these pages. And then 2 units of the Jump Pack Assault Intercessors, because you don't leave home without them.
You don't.
3 Deathwing Knight Blobs, which I think is the right number, because why wouldn't you?
1 for each objective in that midboard, mate.
Yep. And then a squad of 6 Eradicators, which are going to be with the Biologists.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've not seen that done before.
You'll see it soon against Ben Pritchard's list in the final.
I've lost to it.
Yep. And then Infiltrator Squad. So
that is a real waste of Eradicators in Dracari. That's all I'm saying. You could have brought bolt guns. You'd have been fine.
So a squad of Infiltrators. So that's that whole no deep strike 12-inch bubble, which I think a lot of the time Space Marine lists do miss.
Yeah, it's just so good to have it.
Then the 6 Inner Circle Companions that are going to have the Judicia with them. And then the Repulsor again. So I think there'll be a choice there whether Rapid Ingress is or Strat Reserve in the Eradicators, or they go in there.
Yes.
But in reality, it might also be the Inner Circle Companions in there, because they die to anything that can get a line at them. So without there being something like a library.
Seems like a really balanced list, no?
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's the only kind that boy writes. Yeah. He doesn't do skew, but he does like durability. So this is a classic Lennon type list where there's a real strong, solid core to it, but also everything you could need to also score all the points you want in a game of 40k as well. It's really, really tasty.
And then to finish it off, you think, oh, that's all the Space Marines, but there's the Caladas Assassin again and the Voidsman, because Space Marines can't get really cheap units.
Pushing into that, pushing into that aggressively when it could suddenly counterattack you en masse with several death bricks and shut down your ability to interrupt or fight on death or anything else. You can imagine. Again, I think this is one of a few lists out there where I think he's probably got his sights on Blood Angels and has been thinking a lot about how to do that. So he's got fights first. He's got -1 damage, -1 AP. Bricks of death that require massive commitment, and then a big shooting threat as well that's going to go through anything that it shoots. But we'll see. Who knows what he's built it for? But I do feel like that potentially it's a proper counter melee list. Which actually is something Dark Angels often do, isn't it? That's often their role.
It's the swing back thing. It's the stage and wait for them to kind of pose where they're going to be, and then you just go, right, no.
Yeah.
And what I think is interesting with this list is it sets to me like you don't just push it forward and hit stuff. You've got to play it well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it does die. So I think,
completely.
And that's where it'll be interesting to see if people do try to kind of copy it, because you can't just take it to a GT and go, yeah, there you go, I win.
No, for sure.
Skill. So.
I'll be really interested to see what the ceiling on New Dark Angels is, but I think much like last WTC, they will now have a nice run as all the mains return and get stuck in.
It's going to be really high because the Terminators are uppy downing. So
yes, exactly that. And Aaron Mascari in the chat says, "Love the demon diversity, even if there's only a few lists." Yeah, Aaron, look, I think demons are still hard done by the fact that you really, really want them to plug into other armies, and I think that's a real shame for demons at the moment, because demons are having a very exciting time in singles. There's not quite as much demons out there as I'd have liked, but I think they're in a good moment, and I think we'll definitely continue to see some good things from demons.
Yeah.
Right.
Aaron,
okay.
do you still come to events? It's been a long time since I see you. Hope you're doing well.
That's actually a very good question. I haven't seen Aaron out there in a while either, but hope you're well, Aaron. I don't think I've seen you in this chat before, so it's really nice to have you here.
Yeah.
You're very welcome. I hope you're wherever you are. Right, my new meta piece. We want the David Gaylard Triple Vortex Beast.
It's already on the screen.
Which gives you some idea of what we're going to be looking at. So our boy David, he's been away. He's done some thinking. He likes to think. He likes to innovate. You all know David Gaylard. You know he's a wonderful player. And mine, he's still repping with his New Zealand boys, which I'm really, really here for. I think that's really, really exciting. So things in David Gaylard's list: 3 Exalted Sorcerers of Discs on Tzeentch. Not perhaps as nerfed as some initially thought they were, because indeed there's actually 3 of them here. And your Lord of Forbidden Law on there. We've got Infernal Masters. How many Infernal Masters are we looking at, John? Oh, look, it's at least 2. And I think it's 3, and then it's Magnus. So the 2 very scariest, most effective Thousand Suns characters getting you all your Cabal points, and then Magnus doing the rest. So none of this chaff like Araman with his one-shot gun that never hits or wounds. Then we got rubrics. How many rubrics are we looking at?
1, 2, 3. 3.
3. It's a bit less rubrics than normal. You'll notice that's Infernal Master rubrics, but a bunch of Disc Wizards running around on their own. Then we've got some Cultists for pushing out and dying, some Spawn for pushing out and dying, and here's the beef. It is 3 Mutalith Vortex Beasts. These at 150 points are chunky boys. And so this is a meta choice where ultimately I think the Thousand Suns lists we've seen in recent times have gone very heavy on Cabal points, right? And have tried to protect having a big amount of Cabal points. And this list actually sacrifices that to an extent. It doesn't have as much Cabal as some of the others. The flex to play this wrong, much, much less. Fortunately, David is piloting it, and he will have worked very hard to ensure he's not going to play it wrong. So that doesn't matter so much. But what the Vortex Beasts, I think, give you into a whole bunch of different armies is things you can shove out to get the party started that cannot simply be dealt with you chaffy trading unit, right? A lot of these T-Suns lists, it's like Zangors on discs or Cultists, whatever you put out in those early exchanges, they can kill off with something equally pathetic. That is not the case for a Vortex Beast. So if you want to get this out of the midboard, you are going to have to come and play properly, and you're going to have to bring a lot of assets to do it. This is not a problem that 5 jump pack intercessors are going to solve. You need to send the beef. And once you send the beef, you're going to get hit by 3 Infernal Master Rubric squads, 3 Disc Sorcerers, and Magnus. So I think it's beautiful. I think it's really scary. It's really nice. The Vortex Beast has been creeping in, and obviously I don't know the ins and outs of how this is targeted versus different factions, but obviously the mortal wounds spewing from Vortex Beast is also horrible into MSU elf type armies. They've got good flamers. They've got decent shooting of their own as well, and they do make the Cabal distances longer as well for wizards nearby. So I think at their new price point, I really like this list. This is one I think you have to use it right, because your spiral out risk is much higher with less Cabal points and less units in the list that are actually giving you your juice, as it were. But I really like what this is setting out to do. I think this is quite horrifying, and I think some people are going to find this a real headache to deal with.
I'm obviously a David Gaylard stan. Vocal about how much I like
God damn you, right.
But one of the things that I really like about him is he writes lists how I love to write lists. He's gone, so what's good here? And can I take as many of them as possible? Yes, I'll do that. What do I do for the rest of the scoring? Fuck it, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very amazing. Much in that ballpark, and it's just one of the very strongest things that make Thousand Suns tick. Let's not faff about. Yeah. And it's beautiful. It's very, very effective. And I think, I'll be really interested to see how this gets on, but it's daunting to look at as a Thousand Suns list. I think a lot of teams will go having practiced into lists that don't have any vortex beasts at all. Suddenly you're facing 3, and they are just quite an unusual, stodgy 5-up invuln, 5-up feel no pain, high toughness unit. That's very annoying for anything to reliably deal with, which means you either have to overcommit or you're going to undercommit, and both are very dangerous into Thousand Suns. Alrighty. That's us. That's us for our list reviews. Let's talk a little bit generally, and then we'll go into some podcast questions. What do we think? Having seen a sort of spread of lists, how are we feeling about the WTC? Have we seen any teams we really like the look of? We got any sense of the overall direction we think the game has taken since the data slate? What are our thoughts?
I quite like the look of what Sweden are bringing this year.
Okay, that's cool.
They seem genuinely like they were trying something a bit different, but also it's going to deal with some of the kind of the big threats, which I was quite excited for.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think that looks very cool. I think I quite like some of the French lists. I think they're trying things a bit different. I also like some of the Germans. I think the Germans brought Penitent Host, which I'm just here for. I don't know if that's a good call. There's a lot of Sisters of Flame at the event, but I love that the Germans brought Penitent Host. They've also got 2 10 bricks of Berserkers in Votan in land forts.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
really like that list.
Just makes my heart sing. So those lists just make me happy looking at them, and I'm very curious to see what their kind of intended role is. What I'm enjoying is I'm looking at Poland, England, USA, a few of our sort of usual front runners. They're all seeing the game in completely different ways right now. There's not really there's a lot of differences, and there's not a ton unifying them in how they're looking at things. And I think that's going to be really exciting to see how those different ways of viewing things line up. Sam Dunn says, yeah, there's a version of this with 3 Forge Fiends. Yeah, I think maybe Brian Sipes got a Forge Fiend based,
and he's got 3 Vortex Beasts as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean that's hilarious. Like
it's
in so many ways, triple Forge Fiend, triple Mutilus Vortex Beast is very, very funny.
I love how that really plays to his strengths as a player.
Yeah.
Like, Brian, you're going to take 6 tanky things and they're going to sit in the middle of the board.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's like if you've still got Magnus behind it, rerolling all his hits and wounds whenever he's wants, you're like, that's still just a really good list. It doesn't need the magic beans. Like, it's terrifying, isn't it? Like, but as someone who pioneered Forge Fiends with Thousand Suns at an RTT at Christmas, you're welcome, Brian. I'm sure that you paid a lot of attention to my 2-1. Very, very good.
I can't laugh because I say the same thing about it.
Yeah. Oh dear. That's an awesome list. Yeah. Thousand Suns are an interesting one. I think teams that have broken from the blueprint that have been established in single seasons might get some joy, because that enables you to swing surprises in how matrices are formulated and what people are expecting playing into it. So I'll be interested to see if that works. At the same time, Cabal points are life, and you are playing it dangerously by starting to bleed those out, I think, a little bit as well. It's going to be really interesting to see. There's just so many armies in play. We didn't even get into Sisters or Drukhari. There's a bunch of other ones. Skari's double Void Raven Bomber list is there with Canada for blowing up Blood Angels. That's fun. That's really, really fun.
One
There's
that
all
really
sorts.
shocked me was Slovakia have Eldari and Drukhari, because a lot of the time they were kind of cannibalized by each other. But they also had, wait for this, the Big Hunt.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
That may seem like a really questionable choice for orcs, but if you're going to try pairing that into stuff that is vehicles and monsters, it makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be enough.
I think I want that to be my next orc detachment that I try, because it is
so
funny.
good.
And I've got the squig models, and it will take less time to build than the Defcopters.
A kill rig is quite horrendous, Tom.
Do I need kill rigs though? I don't feel like I do for that one.
I think you do.
Okay, fine.
Start at 3 and then see if you want to add more. You can't add more, but see if you want to.
People can look forward to my orc tacticas in 2027 when I actually have an orc army ready to use. It's going to be a long time. All right, Paul Evans says, loving the sight of armies, not all the same meta models, lots of variations, breaking what was becoming once you knew the army you were facing, you knew what models were in. Yeah, I completely agree. And that's just where the game is right now. And there's another monologue inbound. You, the players watching, you've all been very excited. You've all been waiting for this. Now you're looking at these and going, oh, I really wanted to play that all along. All these players have done is look at the army's rules that they have and think about what might be useful and good for them to use, and thought about that in a connected up, thought out, joined up way, and played some games to test it. Any one of you can be and do that. Go and do it. That is what makes them great. That is what the interesting thing here. And I think it's always fascinating. I love that little lull when no one knows what's going on before WTC, and we see a bunch of new stuff. And I think it's really worth it. It's a vindication that, you know, Davey took Crusher Stampede out for a run out. It was his first event, wasn't it, Davey, with your NIDS after the rules changes?
Yeah.
And you were like, I think there's something in Crusher Stampede, and you took it out. And he was right. Crusher's out there in force. It's a detachment that's definitely building up. So yeah, trust you go and look, go dig into your rules when you get a meta change like that and see what you can dig up. I think it's well worth doing. It's very, very exciting. Oh, here comes the counterpoint.
None of you can do this. So come on down to Cracking the Codex and we'll tell you what you should be doing.
You do always have the option of someone else telling you, but do trust that judgment. There's cool stuff to be found. I think it's well worth it.
But yeah,
all right.
This is really interesting to find like some kind of direction, someone pointing at stuff and going, hey, so we know Blood Angels are really good, and everyone's been struggling to figure out how you deal with 40 attacks at strength 10. You know, right? How do you do that? And now you get to see some people's solutions, and of course you can go and copy that, and that you can absolutely do that. But use the inspiration to go and find your own solutions, I think, is the key thing, right? There's stuff in all the books that, well, maybe not all, but some of the books that will solve that problem. And it's just like playing with it. And you know what? Don't be afraid to be wrong. Yeah. Because you might find out something else instead.
Blood Angels and Thousand Suns are in the, not to the same extent, but in the Eldarian GSC position going into the last WTC, where they are, we know they're good. We know they win a lot. We know they're powerful. I'm calling it now. One of these factions is going to have the GSC experience, and it's going to get found out, and it's going to face plant. And one of these factions is going to cruise. I don't know which one it is yet. I'm intrigued.
Which one is it, Tom?
I don't know. Well, I don't know.
If you had to guess.
If I had to guess, it's a tough one.
I think I've got the answer there. Which one's about to get a book? And great units.
Yeah.
No, he means at this event.
I mean at the event.
Oh,
I think with Eldar and GSC, one of those really struggled because a lot of teams were very ready for it and very well drilled.
I think if it's going to be from that sort of angle, it's got to be Thousand Suns, right?
Yeah,
because
I think so.
Blood Angels is such a sledgehammer. It is a blunt force problem solver, and you can't really be prepared for that, other than like, we've brought loads of fight on death. I hope this works.
Yeah.
Or loads of like feel no pain that change the maths. You can't really solve that, but you can to some extent solve the mortal mind bullets, I think.
I completely agree. And I think a bit like GSC, it's harder to play. It's a bit more exhausting, and I also think it does its thing. And so that's why we've seen some interesting innovation, and whether that will keep them in it. But I wonder whether Thousand Suns might struggle a bit more than Blood Angels across this one.
Yes, and this is why you need someone, not you personally, but this is why you as the internet need someone to tell you what to think. You're welcome.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for letting us tell you what to think. We are so grateful. It's really, really nice. We are filling that vacuum that all the people that really know what to think have left whilst they go away to go and play their WTC tournament.
I'm very excited, though, that there is 4 Dantes at the event, because people kept giving him a funny look. But
Dante's in. Sangard are in. There's Sangard all over the shop.
Great.
There's some really fun stuff going on. I think it's just very, very exciting right now. Okay, so that's us for WTC content. Now, I'm going to do a little cheeky plug whilst we're here. Just a reminder again, please do hit like and subscribe. It really helps us out. If you want to sign up and become a member, again, massively helps us. This channel's going some really exciting places right now, and our members are helping support us on that journey. So if you want to join us in that, that'd be wonderful. And yeah, just a little WTC plug. We have got myself and John on the ground. John is the head coach of Team Wales. I am the astropath, which means one that talks for Team England. I'm going to be relaying information about how those Muppets are getting on. John is going to be there with Wales having a great time. And we are going to try and keep you up to date, trying to get you news going back home. And Chris is also from home going to be keeping you abreast of our collab with Team Luxembourg, who we've obviously been scrimming with, and will be there in force as well. So there's going to be a bunch of news updates coming from there. I will also be on the live stream with Glasshammer. David from Glasshammer's got his live stream covering the England games every day. So if you want to hear some commentary from myself, I've not done this before. I'm quite excited. I'm told it involves talking a lot at a high pace about things you're excited about. Will I be able to cope? Who could possibly say? We'll give it a go. We'll see what we're capable of. I reckon it might be okay. It's going to be a good time. So if you want to come and watch that, please do. And then also we will have the kids table covering all the WTC in little chunks across the event from home as well. So there's going to be tons of stuff going out. We're massively excited for it. We can't wait. All right. We're going to move it to some podcast questions now, and then we're going to head towards bed because I'm a sleepy boy. Tom Green says, good luck to the Welsh boyos. Goddamn right. The Welsh are going to smash it. We're really excited. It's going to be great. It's going to be really fun. So podcast questions. What we got? We have got in the chat asks, WTC lists, what do you reckon Pack-Bound Zealots is missing that means they're the only list at WTC? Also, what do you think of the spicy double obliterator Abbey Renegade Raiders list?
I didn't see that.
So that destroys Thousand Suns, if you're in any doubt, because Thousand Suns do not like being shelled with full rerolls from out of sight by damage 2 like that. I think that was something that I think some of the guys at Army Reactor were testing. The problem is, of course, getting it into Thousand Suns and then also getting the guns into Thousand Suns. But if it is allowed to do its thing, which is shoot some obliterators behind a wall at Thousand Suns units, it will kill all the rubrics immediately.
Yeah, that's lovely,
which is, I think, what that is for. That would be my answer and my guess. As to why only one team is taking Pack-Bound Zealots, it's England. It's because we think it's the best one. Anyone that knows me knows I've been saying Pack-Bound Zealots is the best one since the book came out. I stand by that assessment. It depends entirely on what you're building for. I think Renegade Raiders is great at a very specific set of things. I think Pack-Bound is actually better at a wider range of things, and it depends what you're tooling up your CSM to do. Are they trying to bully a couple of things, or are they trying to go and have a game into anything? I think Pac-Man has a game into anything personally in a way that Renegade doesn't. That would be my assessment. So I think we'll find out if we're right or not, won't we? Very straightforward. So we've got a question. Mika asked Retaliation Cadre for Tau. Why so many Tau factions? I mean, there's quite a lot of Tau diversity right now. You can build them in really different ways, can't you, John?
So there's a lot of pressure lists, but they're doing that whole kind of
the Montcar rush,
breach of fish with the Montcar, and the Retaliation Cadre's had a bit of a resurgence recently, and I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, it's good. I played into Jack with it yesterday. It's really, really good,
and it catches people out because it's not the old kind of the Tau suits just dropping down as a massive blob and just going, "You're dead." They've got to play the game with you.
Yeah, it's precision. It's brilliant into elves. It's brilliant into sisters. It's good into toughness 3 things that weren't expecting you to see them there. And so I think Ret Cadre has a real game, and there's quite a lot of those factions out in force at WTC. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I know Carl Grundy's been championing it and has been doing very well with it.
We were looking at it recently as well.
And I
with
think,
our local guy.
I think,
Please try. It's exciting.
Adam was like, "I'll bring Retaliation Cadre to play my Drakari," and I was like, "Cool." And then he turned up, was like, "I didn't want to do it because it felt a bit tailored." I was like, "You should have done, because otherwise, this is what happens." And
this is what you get.
Killed him without it. It was like, next time, bring it and let's see what happens. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't think it's absolutely fine. I think it's good. It's good for demeching Drakari specifically, and that's something they struggle to do otherwise. So it's got a lot of flexibility there. Next question from Inequity, great name.
Yeah.
Why do you think Manny didn't include Lamatis for his 10 Death Company and instead took a normal chaplain? Is that just a points issue to fit the rest of the list? Next up, Chris Kinnair's Sisters list has the Palatine with Fire and Fury instead of the Jump Canoness. Do you think this is better than having it on the Canoness? Or is it a specific tech piece to get 1 or 2 extra melters if/when it feels necessary? What do you reckon?
So for Manny, I think, yes, it's a points saving thing.
I think almost
he's
certainly.
There often for the minus damage, but if they're doing their job, they don't need the minus damage because they've killed what they're going into and then hidden. So that was always a thing that if you were playing them not so sharply, you relied on it. You shouldn't need it.
Yeah, I can kind of see that, right? It's a unit that's like the Lamatis unit, although that -1 damage is cool, it either kills something and then dies, or it doesn't, right? In most situations on the board, and I don't know that the minus damage necessarily affects
on a
it
heavy
that
board,
much.
you're going to be hidden.
And on WTC boards where again you're either jumping and picking things off in safe pockets on the board, so you're not going to get shot or hurt back, so it doesn't matter, or you've accepted it's time for that unit to die, and it's not. But it probably is a points thing. Like
one of my favorite things to see, and this is the place to see it, is when a player is so confident in their ability to just play better that they go, I don't need this. I'm going to take the more lean list. I'm going to scrape some efficiency here. I'm going to get more stuff, and I'm just not going to make mistakes. And I love seeing that.
Yeah, taking out a name character is such a big call as well. Like an auto include name character. When someone goes, nope, not having it, it's a big deal. Yeah,
it's how you squeeze in another name character potentially as well, because that's often the challenge.
True.
And as for Palatines versus Jump Canonesses, I don't know. Like,
I'm reading that book tomorrow. Leave me alone.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I really need to get up to speed on before commentating.
I'm laughing, but I'm reading that book on Thursday.
I bought it yesterday. I'm sorry, I'm behind.
I think in general, I've seen some cool things done with Palatines. I've not actually seen that much cool stuff done with Jump Canonesses in general since the book came out, which is actually a shame because it looked really cool unit. But it's come out the wrong side of some of the nerfs and adjustments to that book, I think, in terms of what it offers and where it works. That would be my guess. Fells asks, with the WTC list released, who do you think from each team will be the first defender offered up for slaughter?
For Wales, it'll be John. He's not even playing, but
they just offer him as a human sacrifice.
I'm there with a tray of Welsh cakes going, here you go, boys.
Yeah,
that's what I do every time.
Beautiful.
Come on, boys, do your best.
Yeah.
What do you think the best defender list is right now?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. I was too.
What do you think the best defender list is right now? The thing is, defenders picking board, right? So it's not as straightforward as the defender is. Oh no, I'm going to try and deal with something. It can also be a really shooty thing that's hunting a light table, right? So there's prey lists in that sense. Your Town Monk cars will be there to do that. I'd assume they'll be wanting a light board and going forward early. I think Dark Angels feel very play into anything. That feels like if that gets dug in behind walls, doesn't matter who you are, you're not getting that many points out of it. Like, it's not easy to play against, I don't think. But it does. The meta in general does feel very specialized, which is quite interesting. The armies all feel very specialized. So there's not that many proper take all comers armies. I think Nids again probably are quite take all comers in that sense.
I haven't looked at the mini Black Templars.
There's a couple.
Yeah, that's a first defender list.
That really is. One. Yeah. CSM lists that have gone for the accursed are also very good for that. You know, they can go and scrap with most things, I think.
Yeah.
But it's going to be all about how heavy hitters are used in the later rounds. That's going to be the killer thing, I think.
And maybe orcs as well, because if they're doing kind of Warhorde with trucks,
I love the old Warhorde trucky defender. Did you take orcs, John, in Wales?
We did.
You did. Nice.
We had to.
Was it Warhorde?
Yeah, I think so. I've been reading so many other lists. I just wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head, but I believe it's Warhorde. No, it's Bully Boys. That was the thing. We're going Bully Boys.
Yeah.
How many Bully Boys are there across the event?
That's interesting.
One.
I don't think there's that many. I don't think there's that many.
It's interesting because everyone kind of jumped off of it, but it still has.
Orcs are still there in decent numbers, but they fell further from grace.
I love asking a question I know the answer to.
Is it one?
It's one.
Is it just the Welsh one?
Yeah.
That's so good.
I'm rooting for you, lads. Obviously.
That's so good.
So I hope it shows up big.
Beautiful.
I think it's rather than it being an attacker list, it becomes a drawish. I'm going to just top it you up thing. I think it's the plan there.
But and that's actually I saw Bully Boys played that way at ITT. When it's played as I'm going to hunker down and grind you out, it's a brilliant take all comers list. It's really powerful. And there's also one beast snaggers. Wonderful. Yeah.
Which is
any speed wars? I saw someone shout out to Kevin Woodward at Outriders, who was running the speed war at the RTT, and didn't do well, but looked fabulous doing it. And that's what I'm all about.
All those death copters flying
speed war, just when it goes, and he had the buggies as well, and you're just like, oh, this is a beautiful thing, a beautiful, wonderful, doomed thing.
Since he's in the chat, I'm going to take this moment to thank Craig for doing my research for me. I don't think I used any of the lists that you sent me, but thank you for giving me the statistics, including the fact that there is only one Bully Boy. That is one of the things that he sent to me earlier, which is why I was able to ask that incredibly pointed question to you, John.
I'm so angry because I should have remembered.
Beautiful. All right, guys, I think that's us. That's us done for tonight. So thanks so much for tuning in. Obviously, WTC looms large. We've got one more week before that all kicks off and causes bedlam. So I think next week we might be doing a battle line tier list for Pariah Nexus. That might be what we're doing. Quite excited. If I haven't talked about Hormagaunts as much as I should have done today, but you can bet your ass I'm going to talk about Hormagaunts next week. I might even have built and painted some by then because I am in love with that unit right now. But I don't want to give anything away. Let's get to that later. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you all again very soon. Lots of love from 6 Plus. Be well out there. Bye-bye.
Bye.